Okay, so we did our isometric and we did our orthographic projection. Now we're going to do our lab repair drawing. So basically what we need to do is we need to do a repair on an aircraft sheet metal. So what we have is we have a patch that we're going to make to repair the aircraft sheet metal. So what we're going to do is we're going to draw this patch onto our drawing paper. Now the first thing we need to do in order to make this patch is learn how to center a drawing. So if we had a square that we had to make, right? So let's say we had a square, and that square is 2 inches on all 4 sides, and we need to center that onto our drawing paper. Well, let's see how we would go ahead and do that. So what I'll do is first, like before, I take my drawing paper, I take my T-square, and I use my T-square to make sure that my drawing paper is square with my drawing board. Okay? And I'm going to go ahead and align my T-square with the top line of my title block. And make sure that top line is parallel with my T-square. I'm going to get my tape. And I'm going to secure my edges. Now I'm going to go ahead and take my T-square, remove all the air, make my paper nice and tight against the board, and I recheck my lines to make sure that they are parallel with the T-square. And it is. Just go ahead and secure it. Now, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and make my guidelines for my title block. Again, notice how I keep my pencil at one angle and I glide my hand. I don't just move my wrist. Okay, using my fingers, keeping my fingers away from the edge. I glide my pencil. Glide my pencil. So if you can barely see on the video my guidelines, but what I go ahead and do in a second is I'll zoom in so that way you can see that there are lines there. Okay, and this is what you want. You want really light lines, and you want to be able to barely see those lines. But once I zoom in, you can see that I did draw lines, and they're right there, so I can put in my information later on. So let me zoom back out and continue working. Okay, so first thing I need to do is find the center of my drawing area. How do I do that? I take my T-square, I turn it upside down. The reason I turn my T-square upside down is if I try to use it this way on the drawing board, there's this space here. Okay, so when I turn it upside down, now I'm able to go from one corner of my drawing area to the other. And I glide my pencil. Now I go on the other side and I turn it upside down. From one corner to the next. And glide my pencil. Okay, now I have the center of my drawing area. Okay, again you can barely see it, but I'm going to zoom in. Okay, you can see how I have light guidelines going across my paper. Okay, now next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a horizontal guideline. So right where those 2 lines intersect, I'm going to go ahead and put my T-square there. Horizontal guideline. Now right at that point where it intersects, I'm going to do a vertical guideline. Now, remember before I showed you the pencil? Sean, can you do me a favor? Can I get a pen? So it can get a little bit darker. Thank you, Jennifer. Okay, so let me just show this a little bit darker so you can see it with a pen. If we had a square, I know I'm not making the best square right now. Let me do it again. Hold on. If we want to take a square that's 2 inches on both sides and we want to put it on the drawing paper, okay, how would I put this square on here, okay, on my drawing paper? Well, what I would do is I would take from the center, I would measure to the right 1 inch and put a mark, and then I would go to the left 1 inch and put a mark. Okay, and what that's going to do is that's going to go ahead and give me the width of my square. Then I'm going to take my triangle and T-square, again using my thumb and my fingers pressing, and I'm going to glide my pencil straight up, and my pencil straight up. Okay, now I'm going to go from the center. I'm going to measure up 1 inch, and then I'm going to measure down 1 inch. Okay, what does that do? That gives me my height of my square. Okay, now I'm going to zoom in so you can see. I have a square on my drawing paper that's 2 inches in width, 2 inches in height. Okay, and it's perfectly centered on the drawing paper. I'm going to go ahead and darken it in with the pen just so that you can see for clarity. Okay, now, why did I darken it in with a pen? Just so that you can see the more clearly on the video that I have a square that is perfectly centered on my drawing paper. The reason I do this is going to help you understand how to center the prepare patch on the drawing paper. Okay, if you understand the concept of taking the dimensions, dividing it by 2, and then from the center measuring half the width on either side, and then taking the height and then measuring half the height, and then centering that, going to the bottom and to the top, you'll understand how to center your patch on your drawing. Okay, so let's go ahead and work on the patch. Now that you've seen how to center any object. So even if it was a rectangle, even if it was a rectangle, and we had a rectangle that was 2 inches by 4 inches, on my drawing paper, I would go out here and take the scale